We all love debunking myths in popular culture. Television shows, podcasts, and documentaries are devoted to doing just that. However, we rarely think about these common myths that are true. Here are 25 common myths that you won't believe are actually true. 25. A large portion of U.S. currency consists of cocaine. Although scientists say there isn't enough money to pose health risks, cocaine has been linked to green on dollar bills. Once a contaminated bill is inserted into a bank money machine, it contaminates all other bills. And thus 90% of U.S. currency contains cocaine. 24. Hot water in a microwave can explode. Although the chances are low, it is still possible to overheat your water in the microwave. Since you can't control the temperature in a microwave, you're better off using a kettle. 23. A student accidentally solves an impossible math problem. In 1939, George Bernard Danzig arrived late to a statistics class at the University of California and found two math problems on the board. Mistakenly thinking it was his homework, he wrote them down. Of course, he did not know at the time that the problems were statistical theories that had not yet been proven. He took his homework home and produced proofs of the theorems. 22. Celery is a negative calorie food. By placing a man in a metabolic calorie chamber, the researchers tested whether celery was indeed a negative calorie food. He was fed 326 grams of raw celery for 53 calories. During this time he burned 72 calories. You burn more calories consuming celery, making it a negative calorie food. 21. Someone landed the plane safely in Midtown Manhattan. Twice. Before Captain Sullenberger landed on the Hudson River, a man named Thomas Fitzpatrick landed twice in Manhattan. After placing the bet, he stole a plane and landed it on St. Nicholas Avenue, right in front of the bar where he placed the bet. Then, 2 years later, he did it again, both in narrow areas in the dark. 20. Avoid teaching hospitals in July. While sometimes you have no choice but to go to the hospital for one ailment or the other, if you can avoid teaching hospitals in July, you might be better off. July is when medical students become interns, interns become residents, resident fellows, or practicing physicians. These changes and the inexperience surrounding them have led to many unfortunate patient errors in the past. 19. Crickets can tell you the temperature. While this may sound like some kind of old wives' tale, it is actually scientifically sound. Crickets are cold-blooded and are sensitive to the temperature of their surroundings. When temperatures rise, the chemical reactions that allow them to chirp happen more quickly. Using the formula, you can count the chatter and determine what the outside temperature is. 18. Pablo Picasso's full name has 23 words. While it may seem silly to think that one could have such a long name and immediately dismiss it, Pablo Picasso's name was actually Pablo Diego Jose Francisco Apala Juan Nepomuceno Maria de los Remedios Cipriano de la Sanissima Trinidad Martyr Patricio Cleto. There was Ruiz and Picasso. 17. A physician weighed the human soul using a scale. A 20th century physician named Duncan McDougall attempted to measure the mass lost after death, believing that the soul leaves the body. He measured 6 patients at the time of death with varying results, although he believes his first was the most accurate. Of course, his research has been heavily discounted. 16. Dogs are raised for food in China. While most of the Western world raises chickens, cows and sheep for food, China and some other Eastern countries do something completely different. They breed dogs for food, and about 10,000 dogs and cats are killed and eaten at the Yulin Dog Festival. 15. Coca-Cola used to contain cocaine. Although it is difficult to determine how much cocaine was in early forms of the popular fizzy drink Coca-Cola, it did in fact contain cocaine. However, it is doubtful that there was enough to make anyone addicted. 14. Your phone is disgustingly dirty. Quick, how often do you give your phone a good scrub? I'm going to guess the answer is rarely ever. Chances are good that everyone's phone is a germ-infested piece of plastic and metal. In fact, just for comparison, researchers did a study and compared cell phones to bathroom door handles and found the door handles to be significantly less dirty. 13. Inside Disneyland is a secret club. There is a popular myth that Disney has a secret club. It turns out that this is not a myth at all. Opened in 1963, Club 33 was a top-secret part of Disneyland intended to entertain celebrities, politicians and park investors. However, most park visitors will not notice it because there are no visible signs or gates, and it naturally blends into the park. To get in, someone has to show you the entrance and press a secret buzzer to open the door. 12. The 8th president was the first American. When George Washington was the first president of the United States, he was also a former subject of the British Crown. Martin Van Buren was born in the United States, becoming the first president to become a citizen under the Constitution. 11. Al Gore and Tommy Lee Jones were roommates. It may not seem possible that a politician and an actor can be roommates, but it is true. Al Gore and Tommy Lee Jones lived together at Harvard. Jones even gave Gore's nominating speech at the 2000 Democratic Presidential Convention. 10. Earth is the only planet in our solar system that is not named after a god. Some of the planets in our solar system were named after gods long ago, based on Roman and Greek mythology. However, Earth was the only planet not named after a god. In modern times, the tradition of naming planets after mythological gods continued with Neptune, Uranus and Pluto. 9. One twin may be 2 months older than the other. Here's a common science myth that isn't actually a myth at all. A Romanian woman gave birth to twins 7 weeks apart. After her first child was born, she immediately stopped having contractions. The doctor suggested that they keep the second baby inside for a while to develop. She carried her second child for another 7 weeks before delivering via C-section. 8. Snakes can swim in your toilet. While this may sound like something your older brother would say to fool you, it is actually true that snakes have been found in toilets. Snakes are good swimmers and can hold their breath for long periods of time. Many stories have circulated over the decades about people finding snakes in their toilets. However, this is extremely rare. 7. People harvest human organs illegally. Rich people with useless organs will pay a high price to get a replacement, and this is where black market human organ traffickers come in, preying on the poorest people in third world countries. They basically steal people's organs and sell them to the highest bidder. Those organs end up in America, where surgeons, perhaps unaware of their origin, are transplanting them. 6. The Pentagon is ready for zombies. Always be prepared. In the unlikely event that the undead roam the earth, the Pentagon has a plan to defend and counter it. 5. Raid the water heater for clean water. Whether you're in a hurricane or the end of the world, if you're in desperate need of water, the best place to look might be your water heater. If the gas and electricity are off, the water heater has water that is still potable and can be easily drained from the faucet. 4. The state of Michigan threatened the beavers with a $10,000 fine. In 1997, Stephen Tvedden's neighbors noticed flooding on his property, traced it to Tvedden, and complained to the state. The state determined that the flooding was caused by a few dams built by the beavers and fined the beavers $10,000 until they took the dams down. Who would have thought that a couple of beavers could cause so much trouble? 3. Otters sleep holding hands. Speaking of wild creatures, otters are known to hold hands while sleeping in the water so they don't get separated. 2. A building in Canada is also in the United States. The Haskell Free Library and Opera House is right on the border between D'Urberline, Vermont, and Stansted, Quebec. 1. Albert Einstein wanted to be a musician. One of the most famous physicists in history, Albert Einstein, once said that if he hadn't been a physicist, he would have been a musician. He played the violin.